Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spilled Popcorn, the podcast slash web series where we are going to spill the popcorn, aka the details on the latest and greatest in TV and movies. To help us on this conquest, the much more attractive co host, Mr. Cam Wiggs.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here as always.
You are very welcome. I'm your other co host, Kirk, and we couldn't be more excited to kick off a new season, a new session, if you will, of Spilled Popcorn. We're going to be talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Can you believe it? That it's finally here?
I can't. This was supposed to be the first Marvel show that we were going to get. And so the fact that it's not the first Marvel show and the fact that, we're now just about 5 to 6 months removed from when we were supposed to see it. I mean, it just feels like a long time coming, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I don't understand where is your Captain America helmet?
Oh man, yeah, I dropped the ball on that one. Didn't get the memo.
Okay. I think
it's a great look, though. It really is.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure I have a second one. I'm gonna have to get it to
you. There you go. Yeah.
And so each week we're just gonna start with these on, and maybe we'll last the whole episode. We'll see.
Perfect. Love it.
So hot off WandaVision, Cam, how was the shift into a more familiar formula of Marvel that we know and love?
Abrupt, I would say. I would say it was abrupt. I mean, like you said, just a totally different flavor, totally way more familiar terrain than what we were dealing with in WandaVision. It's funny, when the episode ended, I was almost like, that's it? No, like tons of Easter eggs, no cloak and dagger, no like big mystery. It was kind of different because right out of the gate of WandaVision episode 1, you're like, sheesh, where to begin? What do we have to cover here? But this was much more cut and dry. It's action packed, which is a very different flavor than WandaVision. So it was abrupt, but it was good. It felt right.
You're right. Every episode I was dissecting, I was writing down all these notes and I'm like, well, what about this? And that must lead to this, the lady with all the math, the GIF. That's what I felt like trying to put it all together. But it really was more so straightforward. This was a foundational episode. It felt like we had a lot of inciting incidents in this episode. We weren't catching up on really much other than just where the characters are, not where the plot is. And I think we really found the plot of what this will be toward the end of the episode.
Yep, definitely. I think they do a good job of sort of setting the table. This isn't an episode that's gonna. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be one of those pilots that's like, whoa, with the big hook. This is. They're really just setting the table. They're saying, okay, Falcon, Bucky. Here's what's going on right now. Here's the table. And then, like you said, at the end, they set you up with, and here's where we're going to go. So that's pretty much exactly, it's as cut and dry as they get. And I'm pleased with that after a mentally exhausting run with WandaVision.
That's right. Let me take off my helmet so I can better serve all of you and so you can see my face. Oh, look at the indentations. The indentations on my face from my mask are beautiful.
That's going to hurt.
Man. Well, let's dive into this show here with the unwrapping.
It's back. It's back again.
It will never leave my side.
I love it.
Ever. So what I love the kind of comparisons between WandaVision and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier right out of the gate. That all of these characters have gone through tremendous grief and they're suffering great mental health issues, but all three of them really. And that's what's really great, that through line, even though these shows are going to noticeably be very different, it's very clear to see that that's the theme between these different Marvel Disney Plus TV shows. So bravo to them. Anything you want to say on that, Cam?
Yeah, I think just that, when the blip happened in Endgame, I remember being in theaters and being like, whoa, that's big. And it's just continuing to echo through every single MCU event that happens right now. They're bringing up all kinds of things that you would have never even thought of with the blip, like how Sam Wilson's sister had to run this business all on her own because her brother wasn't there. And, the Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, his character is talking about, well, I woke up from being asleep for 100 years, and then I went from fight to fight to fight. Then I blipped, and then I was back fighting again. It's really interesting, and I'm glad that they're taking the time to go through the details.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. We open up right away and we see Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie, the Falcon, dressing for what we assume is the funeral. At least I did. At least I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
for
we're
sure.
we're we're going to Robert Downey's funeral right here, right now." It wasn't. He was going to this to
Oh,
the.
I thought it was going to be the Captain America funeral.
Oh, did you? Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
that's
Yeah.
where I was. That's where I was like, oh wow, this is going to be old man Steve Rogers' funeral that we're going to here.
Whew. And maybe we will see that in this. Who knows? Who knows? But so we get to the memoriam where the museum where Sam Wilson is going to essentially tell people what is happening with the shield, and of course he says the shield isn't for me. That was for a different time and for a different person. He's not that person. So they put it in a glass case, and we say goodbye to the shield.
Wow.
At
Bravo.
least
What a presentation there.
thank you. At least temporarily, because we know that shield has to live on in the MCU world. So it's going to come back. As we know, you've watched the episode. It comes back at the very end of the very first episode, episode 1 of 6, as we know that they're going to release. We get an epic action packed scene with Sam Wilson, hopping out of the back of a carrier, just going on a little mission, doing his job. This scene lasts for probably 8 solid minutes, which that is a feat in action. There's so much that goes into a single 10-second frame of action in a film or a TV show. And it's just absolutely everything's laid out on the table for them. And we get to see Sam Wilson at his best. We get to see Anthony Mackie at his best. We've seen him in a lot of kind of secondary fights. We've seen him in even tertiary fights, but we've never seen him front and center as the focus of a fight like this. And man, it quite a ride. It is quite a
It
ride.
is epic. It is epic start to finish. They hit every single aspect that you need with an action sequence. It needs to be you need to be up against the clock. There needs to be high stakes. They're
Yes.
literally flying towards the Libyan border, and he's got to make this extraction before they get there and cross over into that jurisdiction. It is insane and creative as well, because you've got, Falcon is an airborne hero, of course, and you've got George Bartok, the actually one of the villains from the beginning of Captain America and the Winter Soldier, is there, and they've got their flying squirrel,
Yes.
parachute suits on. It was a slick action scene. I mean, as slick as they come.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. That's just a taste of what's going to happen. If that's the opening action scene of this film, like what is going to happen in the next 5 episodes?
Right.
That's just what a dream come true. What a dream come true. I like what you talked about a little bit earlier about how we get to see these superheroes getting through real life issues that are related to the blip, right? So we have financial troubles, we have mental health struggles. Very much one of the comics that did this the best, I want to say, is Spider-Man, because he was a teenager and then he was going
Yep.
into college, and so he had acne in the actual comic books, the original ones, and he's like popping zits, and he's like, "Man, this is terrible. I got a bad grade. I got to get to work." And so we're seeing those things play out here in effect of the blip. I think Sam goes to the bank and he needs credit. He needs good credit, but he has no good credit because they were both blipped for the past 5 years. So they have no good credit, no history in recent memory to get that loan that they need to continue to thrive on what they need to. So all in all, fantastic. So the first, let's say 10 minutes of this episode, maybe 15, we're getting a full scope of where Sam Wilson, the Falcon, is at. And then we shift to Bucky.
Yes.
Very, very big shift. I gotta say, it was unexpected that they were gonna lay it out that way. I thought we were gonna hit the ground with both of them, so I'm kind of excited to see. I mean, they weren't even together by the end of this episode at all. Who knows if that'll happen in episode 2? But by the end of this first episode, they're still separated. When we first see Bucky in this episode, it's actually a flashback to him just on some random mission, just offing people left and right. It's like this mansion. They're all armed, and Bucky is just having no problem at all killing them one by one by one. When I saw this, I thought that this was actually a scene from the future, like a retaliation
Ooh.
of Captain America, of Steve Rogers' death. I don't know why. I just thought like, oh, he's gone off the rails, kind of like Hawkeye did, and he was
Yeah.
over in another country just like killing people left and right. I thought it was that, but really what it was a flashback, uh,
Yeah.
followed immediately by Bucky Barnes in the therapy chair. So very fantastic scene. One of the most creative scenes that we've seen Marvel do. They're intersplicing what Bucky is trying to do with his therapy work and what he's actually doing in real life, and trying like he walks the line. So he has like 4 different rules that his therapist, Miss Amy Aquino, a fantastic actress, I love her.
Definitely.
She is telling him rule 1, 2, 3, and 4, and he's going through them, and he's either breaking them or bending them to his own understanding or rationalization. So very fantastic intro to Bucky. We see then from there more therapy sessions. We see him meet with this Asian American man in a bar out of nowhere. They're just buddy buddy. At first glimpse, you think, oh, maybe they just drink at the same time. Who knows? But then you're like, oh no, there's like a real relationship here, a real not mentorship, but there's care between the two of them. And we walk through Bucky, we flash back to Sam over and over again, and we get some introduction of what this series might be with a possible big bad villain. And that is the unwrapping.
Love it. Well done. Well done. So now
So
we're into the
let's
butter.
get to the butter. Get to the butter. So Yuri is the name of this Asian American that is hanging out with Bucky Barnes. Very odd pairing. In fact, I was quite annoyed with it until it played out. I was like, what's the connection here? I'm not about this like random side character
Yeah,
that
my original thought, because he's like an elderly man, I was like, is it possible that this is like one of their cohorts from back in the day? But then I was like, no way that timeline lines up. Like, how could anybody still be alive from back then? But that was the only thing I could make sense of it at
yeah,
first.
that's a good one. I like that. I like that play. And then like he just said, "Hey, I'm still alive, and let's be buddies."
Yeah, right.
That'd have been really cool. I like that. But thank goodness it wasn't the opposite. Was what I thought. It was like just a random, completely oddball character pair up. And so what it came down to is that uh, under the spell of under the hypnotism, Bucky Barnes as the Winter Soldier in that flashback just like savagely and very in a very isolated and unnecessary way kills this guy in this big mansion who turns out he was Yuri's son. So wild,
Yeah.
wild
Point
times.
point blank in broad daylight, and he was an innocent bystander, like trying to get into his hotel room or whatever, and he sees him, and the guy's like, I didn't see anything, and he kills him. He offs him as the
Off.
Winter Soldier. And so yeah, I mean, I thought whenever we had this flashback, he wakes up at the end of it. So I was like, oh, it's just a dream. He's having nightmares about being the Winter Soldier and killing people again, and how savage that was. But the big reveal at the end of the episode is like, no, that was a flashback and not a dream. And in fact, the reason that he's hanging out with Yuri is part of his making amends, which is what he's
Yes.
doing in his therapy, which was like, that was a big reveal.
Yeah, that list is long. Let's talk about
Uh
that.
huh.
What I love about it that it's a list and that it's in a little notebook. If we remember from uh, Captain America: Winter Soldier, as Captain America is acclimating to the future, he's got a list of things that he's missed out on, and
Yep.
he's trying to like cross it off his list. So I love that play. I love that connection that they're from the same era. So he's making lists in a little notebook. I love that, and I'm excited to see if there will be more people in the rest of the series who he does make amends with, because I didn't get a snapshot of that list. I'm sure if I went back and froze it, we might be able to see
Yeah.
maybe some familiar names on there, but we'll take a look again on a second watching.
Yeah.
So also with this episode, so we got lots of characterization from both of our main characters, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but we also got the introduction to potentially our big bad, the Flag Smashers. Now, Cam, do you know anything about these guys?
Yeah, so the Flag Smashers as a group is new to me, but there's at least one person who goes by the villain alias Flag Smasher in the comics. The one that I'm remembering is Carl Morgenthau, And I actually peeped in the IMDb cast list that there's a Carly Morgenthau listed in the cast list. So it's possible that they're going that route. But, this is an older Captain America villain, one with super strength. And as the name implies, is simply an anti-patriot,
Yes.
and what better way to, I mean, that is the quintessential Captain America villain, right? From back in the day, like somebody who hates America. So,
Yes.
um, yeah, I think that's potentially where they're going. But I like the modern twist on it that they're the flag smashers, and they're this anarchist group that all wears the same mask, almost like a la the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix when they're all wearing the Joker masks and like causing chaos. It was an interesting little touch.
Yeah, I like it. It's more of a movement than it is a single villain,
Yes.
and they've mobilized this group of people who have like minds, just like Joker, just like V for Vendetta with the
Yeah.
Guy Fawkes max. It's all kind of the same, so it's very cool to hear that that it was a singular villain and they're expanding it. So in this episode, of course, we see all of these people walking around like looks like they're playing Pokemon Go. We
Yeah, I was like, what is this, a flash mob? What's happening?
we even see Sam Wilson's on the ground, kind of co-worker. His name, he goes by Torres. He
Mhm.
seems like a cool character. He seems pretty funny, but also very efficient. And so he is like on the trail of the flag smashers, and he stumbles upon this group as they're all stumbling around this main city hall area, and they all of a sudden these two duffel bags drop out of nowhere, and everyone puts on a mask, and this allows what we seemingly think who is the actual flag smasher to rob some place nearby and really get away with it. So pretty fascinating. What was your take on that cool scene?
Well, at first I thought it was Baron Zemo because we know that,
Yeah.
from the promotional material around this show, we know that Baron Zemo, who was the enemy, the main villain in Captain America's Civil War, we know that he's coming back. And in the comics, Baron Zemo does acquire superpowers at some point. And so whenever this Flag Smasher guy comes down, it wasn't, I wasn't really thinking Flag Smasher at the time. I was like, oh, maybe Baron Zemo is the Flag Smasher. This person's got super strength. And obviously, Joaquin Torres got up close and personal with them, got basically heel stomped
Oh
by
yeah.
this person. So, yeah, I'm interested to see where they go with this because it doesn't seem like it's going to be Baron Zemo. It seems like it's going to be Flag Smasher. And so now we've got Flag Smasher, we've got Baron Zemo, and I'm wondering where they're going to head with all this.
I like that you said that you peeked at the cast list because when I'm looking at those close-up shots of the lead flag smasher. So yeah, we can speculate that that is the character, that's the villain. We can speculate maybe it is, maybe it's not. But as Carly, what was the last name?
Morgenthau.
Morgenthau. I'm gonna be honest with you. It looks like a woman's
Yeah,
face.
it's long hair too. That was the thing that stuck out to me, that I was like, maybe it's not Baron Zemo because we've got the long hair. So it's interesting.
Yeah, that's my guess. We'll see if it's right. We'll see if it even gets revealed by next episode. Likely that it will, because we're 3 episodes shorter than WandaVision here, just going with
Yeah.
6 episodes for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Anything else that stuck out to you in this episode that would be butter worthy?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reveal of John Walker at the end, the new Captain America. So Sam basically abdicates the throne of Captain America. He gives up the shield and says, this wasn't meant for me. Even though Steve Rogers was, insistent. This doesn't belong to somebody else. This is yours. He can't handle the weight of it. He doesn't want to be it. Well, the guy that he gives up the shield to is later at the very end of the episode introducing a new Captain America under the US government's, supervision, who is, will be revealed as John Walker, who is a character from the comics, and we'll get into that in the crumbs, but that's going to be an interesting thing for a lot of reasons because I think um, you know, comic books never shy away from social issues, but the MCU sort of has so far. And we're not just talking about like some social issues, we're talking about really hot button issues in America right now, like nationalism, um, you know, toxic patriotism, whatever you want to call it. And then also racial equality with the whole,
Yes.
the guy says it's the right decision for you to give up the shield, and it's like, why? Because he doesn't want a black Captain America, is what you would insinuate. So that's a big one that sticks out to me there. Um, and then overall, I just love where we're going with the show, and I love the way that that Disney Marvel is using the shows to dive deeper into the storylines of these characters that just don't have a chance to shine in the big movies because, you know, Anthony Mackie's a fantastic actor, Sebastian Stan as well. Both of them are capable of carrying a film, but we don't know those characters well enough for them to do so yet. So give them some time, give them a long form TV drama like this, and, you know, they might be ready to step into the limelight as Avengers.
I love what you said about bringing to light, basically these social issues into the MCU. We've had glimpses of it, of course, but really, this is the time in the long form format to be able to extrapolate on those
Yeah.
and put a face to a character for that movement. And what is art if it's not reflective of current events, right? So there are so many movies and TV shows that people kind of wonder, like, why was that such a big deal? Well, when you look at the time and place that it came out in and the subject matter of it and what it's reflective of, then you can kind of tell. Plenty of series, plenty of movies that are like that throughout
Yep.
history there's a big question mark at first, and you're like, oh wait, this is a big deal. And I think these shows, these TV series on Disney Plus are actually going to be a pretty big deal in cinematic and in television history. So super cool. With that, let's get into the crumbs. I want to hear all about John Walker because this guy, we the character the actor who plays John Walker, and I don't have it pulled up. The actor that plays John Walker
Wyatt
is
Russell.
thank
It's
you,
Kurt
Wyatt
Russell.
Russell.
Kurt Russell's son.
Yes, he typically plays like the bro, the stoner. He's on an FX show where he's basically just like trying to figure out life. He stumbles into like the secret fraternity, I think. I think we see him in one of the 21 Jump Street
Yeah, 22 Jump
reboots.
Street. He plays Zook.
Yes.
That was my.
Yes.
I was like, whoa, that's Zook. That's so weird.
Yeah, and he's like the lovable bro in college that's like super emotionally intelligent as well. uh,
Yeah.
so like seeing it, that he is John Walker. Tell me more about John Walker. What does this mean for the MCU?
Yeah, so there comes a time where, and they were sort of building to this in the MCU as well. There comes a time where Captain America, Steve Rogers, is at odds with the American government, and the government takes it upon themselves to, you know, assign a new person in that role and one that they have a little bit more control over. In fact, in the comics, Steve Rogers gets rid of the mantle of Captain America while he's still an active superhero. He's like, I'm not Captain America anymore because America doesn't align with my ideals. And so they bring John Walker into the fold. John Walker is an interesting character because he is a superhuman in the same way that Steve Rogers is. And he's not a bad guy, you know. He's not Steve Rogers because Steve Rogers is amazing. I mean, he's Captain America, but
Right.
he is not bad. He doesn't have bad motives. In fact, I think he really does want to do good. And you know, it's funny. In the comics, Wanda Scarlet Witch actually ends up starting up a super group, you know, with the help of Tony Stark, I believe, called Force Works, and she recruits John Walker to be on that team and to actually sort of lead that team. So I think it's important to note that even though we immediately hate this guy, right? Like you have to. He's like, you're like, that's not Captain America. And
Right.
he looks shady, and um, it'll be interesting to see what they do with him because I think he's not like the anti Captain America. Even he's just a little bit different. He's a little more hardcore. I think in the comics, he is seen as more of a, you know, get things done with my fists kind of guy, whereas like Captain America Steve Rogers is like doesn't really want to hurt people. He only does it if he has to, you know what I mean?
Right.
So he is different, but I will be interested to see how it plays out because the comics go in a lot of interesting different directions with John Walker, but it'll be very interesting to watch.
I'm very interested because, man, the Scarlet Witch has so many connections to
All of the connections, dude. She's got them all.
to every single major player in the Marvel universe. And so who knows, maybe at the end of this we'll see her pop out of the astroplane and just go and just swoop John Walker up and take him to her team. Who knows? Super exciting. Crazy that we're still getting super genetically enhanced soldiers in
Yeah.
this world, even now. And I'm excited to see what that brings. What do you think? Is this the same timeline? Do you think this is the exact same timeline as WandaVision?
It's hard to tell. I almost feel like it's, man, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
like it's close. It's definitely close, but it's hard to tell. Like maybe WandaVision takes place a little bit closer to Endgame than this. You know, Sam, the only timeline marker we really get is Sam says a few months ago when he's referring to the blip. So I think the director has confirmed that this is 6 months after Endgame, the events of Endgame. So a couple months, I guess, in Sam's world means 6 months. So it's close, but I don't think they're happening simultaneously. I think they're just kind of like we'll see. But I think this might be slightly after actually.
slightly after. Okay, cool, cool. I was kind of feeling that vibe as well because you know, it just seems like there's been more resolve. Obviously, there's still a lot going on with our characters, with processing what has happened and the loss of Iron Man, which they don't even say his name. Like he's not there, but he is there. He's
Yeah.
everywhere. But what I hope to see in this is I really hope to see like a flashback that we haven't seen yet between Bucky and Steve. Like that would be really
Yeah.
cool because those scenes, man, they get me. They really touch me, and I'm hoping that we can see a few more things that we didn't know. Like the famous line, "I'm with you till the end of the line." Well, maybe there's another phrase that we can carry through on this through line of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited. I think they're going in a really interesting direction with Bucky's character. I think going the he's obviously been through a lot of trauma, and that's an understatement. He's probably got PTSD out the wazoo from all of the brainwashing and battling and things that he's been through. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that they're dealing with that stuff because he is not a likable character yet. He can't be. We've never really seen him in a capacity to be likable. I mean, he helps out in Infinity War, he helps out in Endgame, but that's it. That's we don't get to really hear much from him. So it's timely, and I think it's a good thing to do. One other thing I'm watching since we're in the crumbs is Joaquin Torres, who they introduced. Like you said, very lovable character. Um, there is a Joaquin Torres who becomes Falcon in the Marvel comics. So
Yes.
if you want my prediction, I would say that Sam Wilson ends up becoming Captain America by the end of this show and relinquishes the Falcon title potentially. Maybe if not by the end of this show, but sometime in the near future. And Mr. Torres may take over as he obviously like is in love with Falcon and like thinks he's the coolest, which he is. So that's pretty exciting.
I think that is very exciting because I really think that it is a good play. It is a good move to continue to have some symbol of Captain America through the rest of the
I
MCU.
agree.
And I don't see it why it has to die off with Steve Rogers, and I don't see how it can be anyone but an original cast member. Really, Anthony Mackie really is. He's from the first like four movies, right?
And he
So
can do it. I mean, he's capable. He's not a one-dimensional actor. He's somebody who has comedic range, dramatic
yes,
range, somebody who can really act. And the MCU he's a great get for them. And I think that it would be great to see him expand that role and become Captain America.
yes, it's a good move. I know that there are people who wish that it would have been Bucky, and I know in the comics there is a time that he
Yeah.
is also Captain America, but there's time for all of that. The
There's also
Marvel's
Sam
not.
Wilson, Captain America.
That's
So,
right.
you can't get it all.
No, no, no. And this is a good move. It's a good shift because if you had gone to Bucky, well, then you'd get a lot of the same, you'd get some similar flares, right? Because they're from the same time, the same era. They've been through the
Right.
same things.
Yes.
But Sam Wilson has a very different background, very different life experiences, and he can be the same Captain America, what it stands for, but with a different edge to it, and that's exciting to me. So
Agreed.
very good. Very good. Looking forward to see more on Torres. Anything else you got, Cam? Any other speculations? Did you see anything in the background of the sixth scene of this episode, or while Falcon was swooping around someone he killed or thought we killed? Is there anything like that you saw?
I got nothing for you. I got to tell you, I left this episode thinking either there aren't too many Easter eggs where I really need to brush up on my Captain America comic book reading, which I plan to do in short order. I've got Sam Wilson Captain America teed up. I've got Winter Soldier comics teed up in my queue. So I'll be doing lots of reading. Maybe I'll have more for you next week. We'll see.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to do the same. Man, I can't wait to talk with you guys more about this, Cam, and I cannot wait. It's going to be an exciting 6 weeks, 6 episodes of Spilled Popcorn breaking down the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Thank you so much to Ryan, our executive producer, Ryan Spriggs, and all of our original music from Rhetoric. We will talk with you soon.
Peace.